We had plenty of great Big Blue sports action last week. Let's get you caught up. Welcome to this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Millikin volleyball saw plenty of action last week with 5 games. The Big Blue opened the week against Carthage on Wednesday. Millikin shined in their CCIW opener, taking down the Firebirds by a score of 3-1. On Friday and Saturday, the Big Blue hosted the Millikin Invitational. The 9-team tournament saw the Big Blue play 4 games in 2 days. They played their first game against Webster, and Millikin cruised to a solid 3-0 victory in their opening game. In the night game on Friday, Millikin took on Greenville. The Panthers gave the Big Blue all they could handle as this game went the distance. Junior Tori Stuart notched career highs in kills and blocks, and freshman Olivia Gerbovic set another career high in assists. Millikin won the contest 3-2. Saturday opened with a win for the Big Blue over Central College. After dropping the opening set, Millikin would win the next 3 straight to take the game. Saturday night saw Millikin finish off the Invitational with a booming victory over Illinois College. This one was all Millikin from the jump. Tori Stuart averaged just under 5 kills per set as the Big Blue ran away with this one 3-0. Millikin finished their Invitational a perfect 4-0. Greenville came in second at 3-1 and Marion in third at 3-1. Junior Tori Stuart, senior Cameron Flessner, and junior Juliana Vassallo were named to the all-tournament team. That brings Millikin to 10-1 on the year. They entered a 4-way tie for the top spot in the CCIW with North Central, Illinois Wesleyan, and Wheaton. This week, the Big Blue continue CCIW play at home against North Park, and then they head to Wisconsin for the Pointers Invite on Friday and Saturday. Moving on to men's soccer, they continued their season Wednesday against Wisconsin Platteville. This one saw 3 goals within the first 30 minutes of the game. Millikin trailed 2-1 at halftime, but the Pioneers would put the dagger in with 20 minutes to go. Johannes Smaberg scored the lone goal for Millikin in the loss. Saturday saw the Big Blue head to Iowa to take on Loras. The Dewhawks scored within 10 minutes and would not look back, striking 3 more times before the final whistle. Felix Malm made 6 saves in the loss for the Big Blue. This puts Millikin at 0-5-1 on the season, and they will look to find the win column for the first time this year against Illinois College before opening CCIW play on Saturday at home against Carthage. Moving to women's soccer, the Big Blue suffered 2 losses last week. Wednesday evening on the road at WashU, Millikin found themselves in a tie but would concede a penalty before half. WashU would score in the second to finish the game. Maddie Wood scored the lone goal for the Big Blue in the loss. Saturday, Millikin headed to Rose-Hulman. Rose-Hulman got on the board just 2 minutes in, and the game was 1-0 at half. The Fighting Engineers exploded for 4 goals in under 6 minutes in the second, though, and the game finished 5-0. Millikin drops to 3-3 on the year and fall to 4th in the CCIW. The Big Blue play host to Monmouth and open CCIW play on Saturday against Carthage. Big Blue football opened CCIW play on the road this week against Augustana. This one needed overtime as the Big Blue got the win for the first time this season with a 27-21 victory. Calport was 19 of 34 passing for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Sophomore Tyson Raydell had a career-high 33 attempts for a career-high 133 yards rushing to go with a touchdown. And senior Colton Lockwood finished with 7 receptions for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns in the victory. Football moves to 1-1 on the year, jumping into a 4-way tie for the CCIW lead. The Big Blue have their home opener on Saturday against Carroll. Millikin Triathlon had last week off. They will continue their 2021 campaign this weekend when Millikin hosts its first ever home triathlon Saturday morning. Women's golf was in action at the Illinois Wesleyan Fall Classic. The team finished 13th, led by McKenna Parkhouse, who shot a 160. The Millikin women will be in action this Saturday. Men's golf was off last week. They see their first dual action of the season on Thursday at Elmhurst. Millikin women's tennis was in action last week as well. They fell to North Central early in the week by a score of 7-2. Millikin picked up 1 singles win and 1 doubles win in the loss. Later in the week, Millikin got back in the win column with an 8-1 victory against North Park. The Big Blues swept doubles play and took 5 of 6 singles matches. Women's tennis stands at 4-1. Their record is good for 4th in the CCIW, and this weekend they'll be in action at the ITA tournament. Cross country saw some action on Saturday at the Gildodds Invitational. The Big Blue men finished 3rd with a score of 107, and the Millikin women finished 8th with a team 193. Both teams are home this Friday at the Millikin H.W. Wright Classic. Last week also brought us our first Millikin milestone of the year. On Friday night, senior Cameron Flessner hit her 1,000th career kill against Greenville. Congratulations, Cameron. Now it's time to recognize our Big Blue Athletes of the Week. Our first athlete is Tori Stuart. Last week, Stewart finished with 87 kills, along with career highs in 3 different stat categories as women's volleyball went 5-0 and won the Millikin Invitational. We caught up with Tori earlier this week. All right, we're here with Big Blue Student Athlete of the Week, Tori Stuart. Tori, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we've got a couple of questions for you here. First off, what was your approach going into this weekend, knowing you were going to have to play 4 games in 2 days?
So I think going into really any match, but especially if you have more than one match within a couple of days, it's really important to focus physically and mentally for days in advance. Like pretty much the whole week leading up to it, I'm trying to prepare by getting my homework done so I can just be focused on the game, making sure I'm getting enough sleep every day, eating enough, drinking enough water. It really is days in advance of preparation with our athletic trainers who work really hard for us. It's just a lot of mental preparation going into it.
All right. What's said after the team drops an opening set? Because we saw it 2 times this weekend where you lost set 1, came back, and had to fight your way back into the game. How do you guys bounce back from that?
Yeah, so any opening point even needs a refocus. So when we drop an opening point or an opening set even more, we bring the team back together. Our coaching staff does a really good job of keeping us calm, but also making sure that we're focused, that we can pick up that next point or pick up that next set. And then as those coaches have those really good leadership styles, that kind of rubs off on us as captains. We're working hard to keep the team focused, to refocus after that first set, to make sure everyone's filling their personality role, because team chemistry is so important on the volleyball court, and then also making sure everyone is fighting for each point, each touch, and making sure everything counts.
What kind of toll does playing a 5-set game take on an attacker? Does your mindset change in set 5 versus set 1?
My mindset definitely does not change. Pretty much every set and every point, it's the same mindset of win this point no matter what the cost is. So a 5-set match definitely does take a toll. Our coaches do a good job of making sure that we get rest when we can, so that's really helpful during those long matches. But overall, it has to be a 1 point at a time mindset. Without just fighting for each touch and each play, you can't think big picture, especially in such a long match. So it's really about just staying focused on each point, thinking small picture, and just working hard for each one, trying to win everything.
All right. You've worked with 2 new setters this season, and you haven't seemed to miss a beat. Is it hard or easy to build up chemistry with a new setter?
It's pretty difficult to get chemistry with a new setter, especially when they're younger, just because they haven't really played on the college court yet. That being said, we have a sophomore, Reese, who was unfortunately injured at the beginning of the season, but she's bounced back really quickly. Luckily, she's worked really hard with our athletic trainers who have done a lot for her, so she's starting to get back into it. And then Liv is just a freshman, but she's been working hard, coming in after practice and stuff like that to make sure she gets enough reps and working on that ball placement. So luckily, our coaching staff is dedicated enough to put in all of that extra time for our setters and to make sure that they're getting that one-on-one attention in practice as well. So our coaching staff being dedicated as well as the players working so hard has made it really a lot easier on us as hitters.
All right, you had 87 kills over 5 games last week, and obviously you score those with a variety of different attacks. What's the primary thing that you focus on when you're making an approach for an attack?
Yeah, that comes down to, again, just 1 point at a time. So every single time I get the ball, I'm just trying to score. So if my ball is on its perfect placement, I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. If the ball's off maybe, or we're not a good pass or it's out of system a little bit, I'm still just trying to score. So that's looking for corners and just trying to place it wherever I can. And then our coaching staff, as well as the people who maybe aren't even on the court, they're a huge supportive factor in that, because the people who maybe aren't getting the playing time are still helping us win, because they're yelling shots for me to hit, they're telling me stuff in timeouts, and then our coaching staff is also always looking for those. So it's really just every point trying to score.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, and good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Our second Big Blue Athlete of the Week is Colton Lockwood. Colton is a senior from Decatur, Illinois. On Saturday against Augustana, Lockwood finished with 7 receptions for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner in overtime. We got a chance to talk with Colton earlier this week. All right, we're back here with our second Student Athlete of the Week, Colton Lockwood. Colton, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
All right, let's get right into it. What is your approach when it comes to game day, and do you have any pregame superstitions or rituals?
When it comes to game day, I usually just listen to music all the way up until I start putting on my pads and stuff. I'll get some caffeine in me of some sort to wake me up, give me juice for the game, and then go over like the schemes of the defense at last second, like their tendencies and stuff. So look in the playbook.
All right, and this is a bit of a stereotypical question, but you had the winning catch in overtime this week. Can you take us through that play and that pass from Cal?
Well, it was overtime, and our defense had just got a stop, a big-time stop, so all we had to do was score any points. So we ran the ball the first 2 plays, and I was thinking, like, we were setting up for a field goal, so, I mean, it didn't cross my mind. I thought we were just trying to get to the middle of the field and give our kicker a chance to win the game. And our coach said, well, let's just see what we can do. Put me to the field and ISO and see what they do. And if they do single coverage, it's coming your way. So I was like, all right. And we lined up, and they brought the single coverage. So I was like, all right, I got to win my one-on-one matchup. And Cal just threw a perfect ball, and it was a good catch.
Awesome. So this makes 9 straight games with a receiving touchdown. That streak goes back to your sophomore season. Were you aware that it's been over 740 days since the last football game that you did not catch a touchdown in? And B, what kind of preparation goes into being a consistent top target in offense?
I did not know that, and I wasn't aware of that. But as long as we get the W at the end of the day, I mean, a touchdown doesn't really matter to me. As long as if my other teammates are scoring, that's like kind of more exciting for me. But I mean, I guess for that to be happening, I guess that puts a little pressure on me for the next game. And then, I mean, being a good target for Cal to go to and just being a leader out there is what I want to be known for. So, I mean, if it comes my way again next game, I just got to make sure I come down with it.
All right. You guys opened up with 2 straight road games this year. You're coming home this week to the Frank. What does that mean for you guys? Is that going to bring any kind of different energy to finally get to play at home after this 3-week period?
Yeah, I think we're all really excited because we only got 1 in the spring, and then last fall we played. We had more away games than home games, and this year we have more home games. So, I mean, to play at home, it's easier. It takes the stress of traveling and then going through all that, and then playing in front of your own fans. It's way more exciting than playing in front of other people's fans. So, sometimes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck this week.
Appreciate it.
That's all for this week's edition of Behind the Blue. Be sure to tune in next week for all your Millikin sports news. Have a great week, and go Big Blue.